Hello, good morning, good afternoon, lovelies. Thank you for joining me once again. So, this is the tutorial on the cargo pant pocket. And if you've not watched the drafting tutorial yet, the link is on the description box down below. Do well to go watch that particular video and come join us to make the pocket for the cargo pant. So now I went ahead to trace out my horizontal line, which is the on the crotch line and on the hip line, and I want to mark the width of my pocket, which I made use of 7.5 inches. You can go as well as 8 inches depending on how wide you want your pocket to be. Now if you're sewing it on top of your bodies or your pant block, you want to be a little bit sensitive with the width. And then I use 10 inches as the length of the pocket. You can use 13 inches, it's your own preference, but I mark 10 inches for the length of the pocket. Like I said, if you want the pocket to be outside, you want to also um minimize the length, but if you want to put it like an inner pocket, you can go as far as 13 inches. I was showing that you could use 13 inches as the length of the pocket. Now what you're going to do is, after marking out your 10 inches or your 13 inches, you rule an horizontal line from that point all the way to your side block. You're going to take that line vertically all the way to your waist point. That's what I was doing here. But take note, your ruler should be on a straight form. I placed my ruler in a slanted form and it didn't really give me what I needed, because after that move, you're going to need to mark 3 inches inward the width of your pocket at the waistline. Now, I had to like go ahead and straighten out the lines, and then I came down by 7 inches because my pocket is going to have an opening. And again, if you don't want your pocket to have opening, like you want it to be an imaginary pocket, you can go ahead and skip this method. But if you want a hole, like a space where you can pass your hands through, you want to leave that 7 inches from the waistline to wherever the 7 inches register for the opening of the pocket. And then you're going to go in by 1.5 inch for the pocket slant. And this will be it for the choking of the pocket. Let's go over to how we can cut it. I've cut the side pocket and also my front pocket, and yeah, that's it. So now there's something I wanted to specify, so in case you want to do this type of pocket. So now this 1.5 inches here, you could see um on our cargo pants, while we were drafting, we had this our pocket carved out. So now if you want this your pocket here to be inside, okay, to be inside like this, and then your hand is going to pass through, okay, a pocket, but this particular one is going to be an outside pocket. So where we're going to put the pocket outside, okay, we're going to put the pocket outside like so. So we're going to be stitching on it outside, right, outside the pant. So now, if this is the same process you want to use, go ahead and give your pocket a fold, and this is going to help you stitch on it. And you have to ensure that your stitching is as straight and neat as it should be, okay? So you're going to give it the straight stitch all the way around. And then when you come to this point, if you want it to be an imaginary pocket, you're going to fold this and you also sew along this point. But if you still want it to be a pass through, you could keep something in there. What you want to do is, when you sew up to this point here, you see the top and the sides, you're going to leave this open. What you do is just to hem this edge here. So if you're going to be attaching the pocket inwards, this is for you. Cut out your 1.5 inches on your main pant block. Introduce a fresh fabric, fold it into two, and trace out the 1.5 inch on one side of the fabric. Go ahead and stitch just like your normal pocket. Now let's draft the block pockets. grab for yourself some fabric. It could be your pieces, your leftover, but whatever the case may be, just be sure that it gives you the desired length and the desired width of your pocket. So when I mean block pockets, I mean the pockets that is always on the cargo pant, either on the side of your pant or on the front piece of your pant, other than the side pockets now, right? So you could have one on the knee length, you could have one on the hip point, wherever you want to place the pocket is fine. So this was me measuring 12 inches of length and then 12 inches of width. And that is because I want to keep everything equal. Okay, so you can go ahead and mark 10 by 10, 9 by 9. The width and the length of your fabric is solely dependent on you. All right, so when you're done with the marking, duplicate this by the numbers of pocket that you need. For me, I needed 4 pockets, too small, too big. So I did 10 by 10 and I did 12 by 12. When you're marking, you want to be sure by leaving half of an inch all the way round your fabric, okay, or your pocket pieces, okay. Now I went ahead to mark my half of an inch round after taping it down with my tape rule to be sure that it's half of an inch. I just went ahead to trace it out with the vertical and horizontal line all the way around. Now let's mark. So now from the half of an inch that I left, I'm going to go ahead and determine the midpoint of this my measurement. Okay, so what I had here, because I had 12 by 12, and that is going to basically give me 6 inches, and you're just going to go ahead and chalk it on that particular 6 inches. If your own is 5 inches, you go ahead and chalk 5 inches. So mine was 6 inches. Do the same for the upper part of your piece and the lower part of your fabric, okay, or your pocket piece. Now go ahead and rule a vertical line connecting those 2 points together. When you're done doing this, I just went ahead to choose either of my pocket piece. You could choose the right side or the left side, but all this is just for you to find a leverage point. So I marked 1 inch to my left hand side, and then I went up on the bottom part of my fabric. I went up by 2.5 inches. So you can go ahead to mark maybe 2 inches, 2.5, 1.5. But here I marked 2.5, and that was because I needed a bigger pocket here. All right. And then when I was done doing that, marking the 2.5 inches all the way on the top part and on the bottom part, you're just going to, wherever that your 2.5 inches register, you're just going to come out by 1 inch, just the way you did initially. And you're going to mark. The essence is to just connect those 2 points together, right? And then you just follow up with what I'm doing, just like you're seeing me on the video here. Connect those points together like so. What you're going to do is fold your fabric just the way you're seeing me doing in this video, and then you're going to sew on your 2.5 inches. Remember the 2.5 inches you went up with, just the way you're seeing me highlighting for you here. So I went over to the sewing machine and I want to show you where to sew, right? Remember the half inch, you're not going to, if you want to sew down up to that point, it's fine. But if you want to stop exactly on your half inch, it's fine. But I sew mine all the way from the half inch all the way to my 2.5. So this is me when I was done sewing, and you want to press on it right now. All right. So I introduced my pressing iron here. You're going to open it up like this and then press out the seam. So now watch carefully the way mine is being led. So you want to ensure that it's flat like this, and then you're going to go ahead and fold that half inch that you kept first and then fold it again. But one thing you want to do is always check on the right side of your fabric if you've exceeded up to the opening that is on the other side, because you don't want to stitch your pocket flap or the top of your pocket and you have that hole poking up to where you have your seam. So that was what I was doing here. I was cross checking as I'm folding. I'm checking if I have my slit coming up all the way to my line. So when I got to a point where it was no longer into my own top stitch, I had to just go ahead and then sew all the way along, just the way you're seeing me directing you on the video. The side is going to be just the way it is, just sew here. Now, when you're done, turn it over to the right side. From the half of an inch that you folded earlier, mark from that point on the part that you sew 1 inch or 1.5 inches inward, depending on how wide you want your pocket to be. Again, and I went in by 1.5 with mine, and you're going to go ahead and duplicate the same thing on the four sides of the pocket. Okay, do the same thing from the half inch. Okay, you don't want to engross into the half inch now because that's excluded. So when you're done with that, go ahead and connect those points together on both sides of your pocket. So that's what I was doing here. And trust me, my fabric chalk came disappointing because it was not showing the way I wanted it to be. But then again, you just want to follow what I'm doing here. Now, when you're done, just like you went up by 2.5 inches when you were drafting, okay, you're going to measure 2.5 inches upward. You could decide to use 2 inches or 1.5, depending on what works for you or how big you want your pocket to be. At the end of the day, you're going to see all these emphases and why they are necessary. So you're going to do that from the bottom of your piece. You're going to come up by 2 inches or 2.5 inches, and then you're just going to mark an horizontal line connecting it to both vertical lines that you had earlier on. Now, just follow the directive here. You're going to fold the vertical line, go to your sewing machine and sew with half or less than quarter of an inch, right? You just want to keep the seam straight up the way it should be and very tiny. Okay, very tiny or very slim. Now, I went ahead to sew. Now you want to go ahead and stop your stitches on where your 2 inches or your 2.5 inches registered. Okay, so at that point, just gonna go ahead and top stitch so you can secure your stitch or you can lock your stitch up, preventing it from losing, right? And now trim off your threads and everything, and you're just going to duplicate the same thing on the other side, but now to the bottom from the 2 inches, remember the horizontal line that you connected. You're just going to sew on that horizontal line to the other point of the vertical line on this other pocket side. When you're done with that, you're going to duplicate what you did on the right to the left, just like you're seeing me doing now. And this is how it came out when we're done sewing. So this is me just showing you how you can place it on your pant block. But if you want to know how to stitch this onto your pant, check out our sewing video coming up next.